Oops. Great. All right. Hello, everyone. Afternoon, morning, or evening, depending on your time zone. I'm Becky Sadek. I head marketing here at Gavea Inc. I'm currently situated in Ethiopia, where we're headquartered, but we are a Pan-African talent marketplace that operates all across the continent. So we're going to tell a little bit about that story today. Welcome to our webinar, How We Achieved a Five-Figure MVP Launch. So this is for those of you who might be curious about, possibly launching your own minimum viable product and want to know what is the secret sauce, what are the resources, strategy, and team and technology that you might need. So we're actually going to talk about two case studies, success stories today with one of our customers. I'm going to go ahead and pass the microphone over quickly to actually Richard, who heads our Gmade product. So he actually is the one who's in charge of working with our clients and coordinating our network partners. So you can, Richard, give a quick overview of what it's like to work with network partners and where that came about and how that fits into the Gavea model of vetted talents and trusted partners. And then we'll have Jasper also introduce himself. He's our guest and talk about how he's worked with Gavea and the relationship there. And then, as I said, we'll move into some of the success stories and what is the secret behind this, how to launch a five-figure MVP product. So Richard, quickly over to you.
Okay, thank you, Becky. Hello, everyone. Once again, I'm Richard Magu. I lead the Gmade product line at Gavea. So what is Gmade? Gmade is our solution to entrepreneurs and people who would like to get software products built, and they basically struggle with getting the relevant skills and talents to be able to get that together. So what we've done that's a bit unique is that we've been able to pre-vet and identify partners, which are entrepreneurs in their own right, who've already got engineering teams in place to help us then actualize product visions. And as you're going to see when we start the conversation with Jasper, he's a beneficiary of this. We're able to quickly turn around a product idea into an MVP and then enable it to scale pretty fast. So that's what Gmade does. I'd be happy to hear from you after this webinar if you're interested in something similar and push the conversation forward. So I'd like to introduce Jasper. I call you my number one client. He's going to talk a bit about what his product is because he understands it, the vision, some things he's not even told us. And then how we were able to initially get the idea started. As Becky mentioned, there were two products. There's one that he'll talk about and something that's already currently about to launch. So over to you, Jasper. I see you've switched off your video.
I was preparing for you, obviously, Richard. Thank you so much for the introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Following through Becky's, and depending on where we are, I want to first appreciate the opportunity to speak to have the meeting with most of you. And thanks, Richard. So my name is Jasper Cheng. I am a founder and CEO of Kibo Capital Group. If you look at the name itself, you will notice that capital in itself, there is a financial heavy bit. So ideally, I founded Kibo Capital in 2015, and having come from the bank after 14 years in retail and commercial banking with the international banks like Standard Chartered and Barclays, I opted to set up something of my own to provide financial solutions to some of the problems that I had identified during my tenure in the banks. So quick into it, I noted that there's so much to be done. However, technology was a requirement. I had zero background in technology, so I started looking for people who could actually come on board and support me in terms of delivering the technology bit of the financial services that I'd founded. And I can tell you that was a real big challenge. That's when now I started realizing that, well, you've got a big vision, you've got all the financial background, but then the delivery on this requires technology. So I spoke to a couple of people to just find out whether I could get someone that was a fit. But obviously, being a startup and then your core business is actually the financial solution. The technology bit becoming very critical, but then you hadn't thought about that bit. So I actually met Richard's team and Richard and the team, and initially I thought, okay, why would I have technology support that does not sit fully within my control? So I can direct the chief technology officer what to do. I can direct the entire team what to do. So it was a bit new for me, because that meant that I was actually trying to give out some critical information to a third party. Obviously, being in Kenya, we know, and we've had very many troubles with your IP, your intellectual property being replicated and all that. So I got comfortable. Richard took me through, and I was able to sign some very good binders in there, and I can tell you from there it has never been the same again. I've actually had an opportunity to build some of the best products. Actually, we are award winning in some of the areas that we've been able to deliver products, and that has been quite fantastic, thanks to our meeting with Richard and the Gebea team. GMED has actually made our life very, very easy. So I think that's for introduction. We could jump into the other things as guided by Richard.
Thank you, Jasper. I want to get into the weeds now as to specifically what we did. And I think Jasper is being quite modest. We actually did two products. The initial product was a lending product called Chapeo. Actually, this is what we used as our tagline, because it broke a few of our expectations, actually exceeded them quite well, to the extent that we had to switch off the system for a while so that we could drive the adoption down. I'll let Jasper talk a bit about Chapeo, what it was intended to do, and then we can then swing into its next iteration of the bigger brother of Chapeo and what we're hoping to achieve with that.
Thanks, Richard, and thanks, Becky, for putting that up. So Chapeo is our micro lending arm within the group. So when we started out this project with GMED, and we were looking at a scenario where perhaps in a year we would actually do about 10,000 customers. So we built out a product that would actually be able to give instant loans within a couple of seconds, and then we would get a customer would come in, download the application off Play Store, make a registration, then the credit scoring would happen pretty quickly, and they would be able to access funds via their mobile phone within about 2 to 3 minutes of that download. So what we were able to do is that we built this product of well, I know you'll come back later and ask me, perhaps anyone who's listening, if I look at the technology that we built in 2016 on this particular solution, this technology is still superior to very many other products that have been built even in the 2020, 21, and even 2022. Of course, we've had quite a bit of upgrade on it. So on this particular product, as we launched it, and as highlighted earlier is we were looking at about 10,000 customers throughout the year. We were able to do this within a month. We blew out that, and we were looking at we were actually having over 30,000 customers within that particular month. So you on the onset, we actually set out a target and looked for the funding to actually do the MVP in terms of lending to the customers out there, and we blew out that money within a record time. And then 2016, and then we were getting into 2017, which was an election year. Very nice product, no glitches, no nothing, and the kind of support that I was actually able to get from the team in terms of the technology end was superb. I think and I've had discussion even with guys who are in this particular market. They all admit that the solution that the technology that we deployed was superior. So what is on the screen is actually the customer journey. A customer would come in and download the app of Play Store, and then they would register with their details as noted, like the name, ID number, which was a unique identifier that is used to actually cross-check your credit information within the Credit Reference Bureau. You'd put in your other details like the date of birth, an email address, and then you'd look at the terms and conditions of the application, and then you'd register. Once your registration has been done, there are of course a few validation, like you've got to validate you confirm your email address and your phone number through an OTP that comes through the phone number and the email, and then thereafter you are able to apply for a loan. Then once you make an application for a loan, that goes to we do a credit reference check. Metropole is one of the credit reference companies that we have in Kenya and East Africa. So once you go through that, we get a credit score on that, and then we've got an inbuilt credit review and scoring product that then module that then scores you, and a limit is allocated. As soon as that happens, you are able to get your loan paid out to your mobile money. M-Pesa is very common in Kenya and in East Africa. Now it's just gone global. But then this was the very easiest way to just get the funds offloaded off into your mobile phone. Now, when we have bigger limits that are above the M-Pesa limit, then that money is pushed to your bank account that you actually set up on the system. So that's ideally the customer journey. So you can imagine it looks that simple, but the technology behind it was quite something else. So as I said earlier, we were looking at just about 10,000 customers for the whole year. That we were able to do over 23,000 downloads, precisely about 30,000. Of course, we've got those guys that never got to get registered because of some people were downloading to try and do some funny monkey business on us. But then we've got the proper screening that happens to ensure that we only have got the genuine customers coming on board. So month one was 23,000 and about 30,000 thereabout. And then we had about 108 transactions done. We did the disbursements of 34 million, and then we had repayments of 22 million within that period of 41 days. We had already actually broken even. Reason why is you have a very lean core team that you want to run with, and with the help of GMED, then you are able to shed off weight. For some of you who've been able to run a technology company, you know what it costs you to have a coder on your payroll. if you look at those numbers, and you've got a backend guy, you've got a UI guy, and you've got a DevOps guy on there, and then you've got someone to just supervise that job. You look at that, it would bust all those numbers. So put them in your payroll for 6 to 7 months. It's a whole set of weight that you can actually be able to really shed off when you're doing an MVP. So I would really wonder why, and any reason why anyone would not want to actually look at this. And something else that I can tell you throughout this journey is that I had you with GMET, I was able to have with, I can say, top talent at a fraction of what you would pay. You actually just give Richard and the team your trouble. There's all these teams that you can tap through across the continent and even outside, and he's always there, and the team is always there. You can see even the other teams that are in here. You are able to get a lot of support in terms of, even you can bounce off a few of ideas. When you're building an MVP, you don't even have a board to actually keep putting you on check, but these guys are able to give you some sort of and don't hike the price, Richard, please. They'll give you a lot of support that they actually don't charge you. So you bounce off something onto Richard, and Richard has and the team has quite some extensive exposure, and they'll tell you, okay, I've seen this before, and well, whereas it looks pretty much okay on your end, but I think I've seen 1, 2, 3 people have struggled with it. Look at this and this person. This is what they were trying to do, and he's been all across, and he would tell you what is best. So through that experience, it was easier for us to actually cut through and be able to do a break even at a very early age. Minimal cost, there's a lot of support, and you're able to only focus on the core of what you need to do. So I think that's something very critical that I thought it was good for me to highlight, based on the fact that we were able to break even very quickly, and we have a superior product off the market. Next slide. So in terms of active usage, this would be it. So as I indicated, that within a month we had about 30,000 downloads. The reason why the active users were 13,200 is because we had about 35% approval rate. So with a 35% of approval rate, and then we've got a bit of guys who take money and they actually struggle paying and all that. So you actually get to cut those out, and you continue building. And over time, we've seen that the more you continue to, there's a big funnel that you will continue to filter through as you build your MVP if it's within this particular space of micro lending. Again, 34 million had been disbursed within those four months, and then that was about 7,000 loans. So average limits was about 5,000 shillings, which turns to around, that's $50, is it? Yeah, or $45. Still stuck on the dollar at 100. We are now at 118 or thereabout. So that's about $45 as an average ticket. Yeah. So you could just have a peep through this particular solution. Is on there. That's what you actually see. We built. We've been able to mask the name of the clients. A limit there shows your limit. You have a view of what would be like in terms of loan information and everything else. So very stable, no crashes. I think we had a really good takeoff time on that. So it's something that I can always say that I don't think it would have been easy trying to do this from our own end without the assistance of GMAD and team. Yeah, can go to the next slide. So that's really on to the first product, which was Chapeo, and now on to the next bit. Obviously, there's a lot of information about the journey thereabouts after the launch up until the time when we got into the election space within 2017, and some of the business related pressures that we actually got into, which are not related to technology. So we've been able to continue to support each other all through. And last year we conceptualized this, and we were able to commission it sometime mid Q1, which is basically the product that you can see on your screen is Mchudo. It's basically a solution that would offer business to business capabilities on collections of daily sales, and we would also make available to our set of customers a bit of loans or access to funds that would be able to help them access more stocks for them to be able to trade in. So an example is where we have a retailer who has capacity to actually push, about 1,000 or 2,000 pieces of bread every single day. But then the capital that they have, given everything else and the space that they have, would actually only allow them to pick about 500 loaves of bread or pieces of bread. So what we do is that since we've got our customers who are the users of this Mchudo app, we would be able to extend sort of a line to the retailer where they pay off the manufacturer, or is it the baker, to actually be able to give them the extra numbers for them to actually push, and it's sort of pre-ordered. So this solution is still a financial solution, obviously with a little bit more capabilities in terms of it's more inclined to business as opposed to the retail transactions, the retail inclining app that we had on the other side. Of course, we also throw in a few other additions which would really support the customers in terms of sending money. You can move money. You don't have to actually move money out into M-Pesa and then you move into the other side. So the collections that you're able to do, you can settle into your bank. You can be able to make payments for your utilities, be it your power bill, be it your water bill, be it your other bills that are available. You can actually be able to settle them. Obviously, as I said, the merchants are able to access loans depending on how much traffic you are moving through the solution. So this is obviously a game changer, and I'm sure any guys within our market in the next 5 to 10 days, you should be able to see this thing rolling out there big time. Mchudo is you'd interact with it a lot within the filling station space, within the retail space, in our supermarkets. You'll interact with it a lot as you do try to make your payments for your power. You'll interact with it as you make purchases for your airtime. You'll interact with it when you actually have a set of very, quite some things that are of need within the consumer space. Would you talk about when you're talking about refueling your gas at the filling station, if your home the home cooking gas, you probably want to do a couple of other things. You'll interact with this as much as you. So it's something that we can come back here and review again in another session as soon as we are on up there. But then this the technology already is at another level, and I'm pretty happy to have been able through GMED to tap into. It's not my monkey to deal with the technology teams every day. I only have a contact person in Richard, who we will have a session to just look at how we're doing, and then of course he'll actually ensure everything else is done on the other end. So it's something that I would never even think of building an own team. That would be it would be just ridiculous. So this team has been able to do great work for me. Yeah.
Jasper, thank
Back
you
to
so
you,
much. Thank you so much for walking us through that journey. I wanted to ask quickly, as kind of a segue, for Richard to explain kind of what was happening, behind the scenes and how that process and relationship worked from the standpoint of, you talked earlier about kind of being concerned, okay, having this team that I don't fully manage. What I heard was, how do I trust? How do I make sure that things are on schedule and pretty much that it's, happening accordingly, as needed. So, Richard, can you give us some insight on what were the touch points and processes to make sure that, Jasper could have peace of mind and, see, without having to fully manage the building of these products, how it worked?
Definitely. And thanks for that, Becky and Jasper. Actually, what's unique about GMED, and I think Jasper's alluded to it, is that it's a collection of knowledge based on our experience with different client requests, because even when we do get requests and people have conversations with us about products that they want to build, we're able to build our common knowledge by sharing ideas and having conversations and identifying things that could work and couldn't work. So if we have certain experience that we can pass on to prospects, we're able to share that with them pretty quickly. That is part of what led to the success. But just to add on to that, the other part of the success elements was we've identified quite early that beyond just having the technical expertise, good front-end developer, good back-end developer, the teaming and the capability of a team to work together effectively is really important. And to that end, we at Gebea were able to come up with a partner program where we're able to identify institutions, literally engineering companies or businesses, software engineering that is, that are able to deliver on the promise that we're able to make. And so we've onboarded a couple of them. I can actually see some of them on the call. We onboarded them, and after they can attest to it, we rigorously tested them. Some of them went through months of vetting before they were onboarded. And as a result of that, we were able to then get people we could trust to deliver on the promise to our customers. And this network partners is what we call the network partner advantage that we have. And the benefit to the client is that whenever they come to us with a proposal or a request, it's sent to all the partners, and then we're able to get the best of the best to them. Best in terms of product market fit, best in terms of delivery approach, best in terms of pocket, in terms of the budget. And as a result, as Jasper has attested to, you're able to get something that adds value to you as quickly as possible at a price point that is affordable to you. So in our case here with Mchudo, we got a partner from Ghana who was able to, and is able to, they're ongoing, deliver this particular product vision. After Jasper passed on his request to us, we were able to then identify through the partner selection process. The partner is called ACID, and they've been doing a good job delivering on the Mchudo promise. And that is part of the value addition and the differentiation we have at Kebeya. Jasper, would you have anything else to add, especially about your experience working with the partner?
Thanks. Thanks, Richard. I think I alluded to this, but then just on the flight. I think what I could say is this: when you actually deal with a team this time, and then when you meet the team the next time, they're actually sharper than when you met them the first time. But then I can tell you that my experience is, I think, and I've done this on my feedback to GMED management team, is that the professionalism that you actually get onto the team is quite at another level, and then the organization is very good, and then the actual talent that you also find there is actually something that you definitely don't want to say it's actually something that you walk your head high, looking at the engineering, looking at the detail, looking at how responsive the team is. And like I was telling you, if you looked at a model where you're actually housing the technology teams within your premises, what you're getting from this team is actually I could say 10-15 folds, because you never be affected by the fact that you've got a few guys who are unavailable on a certain day or a holiday or what have you. So you've got a pool across the country, and then you've got timelines across the continent. Sorry, you've got timelines that you set with the GMED contact, and then you've got deliverables that then you keep reviewing, and at times, most of the time, and I can tell you this for the experience that you asked, Richard, we've been able to be ahead of our milestones. Like, we've been ahead of our milestones all through. So where we've set something to be done within a month, and you don't have guys just relaxing and waiting for the 23rd day, so they work on it for 7 days. You get things delivered early, and then you actually move to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. So you've got a lot of time to get to review the products. You got a lot of time to get to review what you are building. So the team, and like I said, every time you're meeting the team, they are sharper than they were before. The team that I actually met in 2016 and the team that I met in 2022, of course, there's super great talent, and guys are refreshing themselves every other day, and they actually become part of your family, to the extent that you actually can share with them new technologies, ask them what is happening, and sometimes whenever there's anything that is happening within the same space, you just throw in there on your chats, and guys are able to comment and say quite a couple of whatever it is that you need to keep improving on, and they'll give you ideas. They'll actually critique some of the things that you may want to do that are not really in the best interest, and you come out with a super product. So far the ACID team has been your partner. That's ACID. It's a great team of professionals, very talented engineers, very talented management team in there, very responsive, very professional, and I can say I wouldn't ask for a better team than that. So in terms of my experience, is all good. I think it feels like it so feels like what you pray for, and then you just find it in one room. Yeah. So that's what I can say about the team that I work with currently. Yeah.
Thanks, Jasper. And this is just part of the secret sauce, if you can use that that term. The other aspect is the approach to the work that we take with the GMAD approach, which is a term called minimum business increments. And I think Jasper has hinted at that, which is we bite off pint-sized pieces of functionality, if you want to call it that, that is then thought through quite carefully before it's actually developed. And this what this does, if I can switch into a bit of agile speak, is it helps you refine your backlog in a way that you would not look at it before. So rather than just working with a backlog that's defined by a client with regards to what he wants to do, with minimum business increments, you're really looking at what functionality you'd want to push out there. And then the engineering team weighs in what is possible based on what's been put in terms of the infrastructure and the amount of effort that's needed to get that out the door. Now, the advantage of the minimum business increment is twofold. Number one, you're able to quickly pivot. If you want to quickly change what you want from a piece of functionality you felt was lower priority and you now want to get it out the door as quickly as possible, then can be packaged in a minimum business increment and you get it out the door as quickly as possible. The other advantage is that tackles the time, then gives you agility as a business. The other advantage is in terms of budget and cost, especially if, for example, as a startup or as an organization, you get funding that allows you to get something done that you'd probably put on the back burner. You're able to quickly then push it to the front of the queue and get that done. And then sometimes you want to react to the market and your cash flow is not the best. You're able to then be able to still get skin in that game, in the market reaction, with something that's affordable to your budgets. So that's another thing that we take quite seriously with regards to how we operate with using the minimum business increments, and our partners are very aligned with regards to that. Becky, I don't know if we move on to the next section.
Yeah, so we actually, there's one more slide here which showcases the product itself. I wanted to give Jasper also just a chance to dote on that a little bit more.
Okay.
And then after that, I see we have one question in the chat which we can address, and then we can also open the floor. I had a few questions that I wanted to find out from the audience to also make sure, some of the things, Richard, we had talked about, how can they know if they're MVP ready, or do they think that they are, and what are they using to, benchmark that against? So maybe first, Jasper, if there's anything else you wanted to talk about on the app here on this final slide.
Thanks, Becky. So as we've indicated earlier on this journey, the journey of the customer, it's a typical, I could call it, okay, it's coming in to be a super functionality app basically, but then the journey is you download the app, you make your registration, you put in the static data that would identify you. Then once you get to register, you have all the functionalities there for you. Of course, we do the back checks, and one of the critical items that we learned from our first project was identity theft within the financial technology space. So we've got some screenings that really sort you out on identity theft there, because we've got connectivities that would validate IPRS identity, and then of course we've got the other back checks on your email and the other data that you've actually populated in there. You noted that so you do that uploads on the app very quickly, and then you do the back checks. So as soon as you're done, you're able to actually make some transactions. I've seen Safaricom or M-Pesa, sorry, trying to to really celebrate their QR payments and everything. Okay, I can tell you that GMAID was able to deliver this for us way earlier. So and that has really, you know, humbled me so much, to an extent that coming from a financial background without technology training or any technology company, because we are putting out technology solutions out there with confidence, because we've got a very strong partner in GMAID, and everything else that is done from, you know, top cream across the network. So through the app, you can be able to do the simple things. If you are a normal user, make your QR payment, or you can actually pay, make a coded payment, and settle the transactions, and be able to get your products and services through our partner businesses, who we are actually supporting on the B2B end, for purposes of their financing their trade, and so when they are doing their collections also through our solution, we have a double sort of benefit for the user as well as the business who we are focusing on. So as we focus on the users, we also are trying to drive traffic to them, and in that particular model is then there's a mutual benefit for the business, a mutual benefit for the user, as we drive the traffic on there, and then of course for us that enabling opportunity is now where we pride in terms of we've been able to make that happen. Obviously, and I can repeat this again, we wouldn't be able to deliver this if we were to just try to look for these talents locally, or just within my office space. Just tapping into guys sitting 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, miles away is quite something that I could say again and again. But obviously, if you've tried this, you'll really understand why that hits quite a bit. So as you see down there, you'll note that the potential to actually tapping into a great diversity of teams that you actually work with is invaluable. Just before taking a flight into any of these countries to meet any of these guys, you are able to deliver something with the greatest diversity. So that really gives you a very an opportunity that I can say is unmatched, and that is something that I could always tell someone, if there's no other reason you're even coming onto this, then I think this is enough reason to. You notice that when I grew up in the village. If anyone knows northern Kenya, there's a place called Lodwar. It's in the border of it borders South Sudan to the northeast. It borders Uganda on the west. Then it also borders Ethiopia on the north. Turkana County basically is a very dry place. So growing up there as a young man, I always believed that camels are the only source of best milk. Then there's goat, because we hardly would see milk from a cow, because that doesn't survive there so well. And then we've got the fact that you only see a lot of sand, and every green vegetable comes from Italy. A few things. So one thing that particular story, I will travel to Nairobi for my high school and university training. Then I realized that there was more to the world. The reason why I'm bringing all this is when I hire guys just within my reach, then I probably might not be able to get the best in terms of diversity and collaborations that can actually give us the best product. We could probably just make a product that is nice for my upbringing, which is Turkana and Lodwar. But then when you have to tap into great talents, like you have an opportunity to tap into what GMED will be able to give you, then you've got someone, from Egypt, someone else from, Ghana, someone else from South Africa, someone else from the United States, you've got someone else from Ethiopia, got 3 others from Kenya, Like now, if I look at the nationality of the guys working on my product today, you'd actually see that diversity, and obviously even the skills. These guys have studied in different schools, so getting someone who studied in London to actually build something for you in Nairobi, another guy who studied at the University of Nairobi, someone else, so that becomes a reality when you come to do a partnership with GMED. Imagining that you'd actually be able to get that particular mix, then you've got to get work permits for these guys into Nairobi and all that. That will be very difficult, but then you can be able to deliver this product very well. The security is super, the engineering is super, the designs are super, and all that. So I think that would be something that you easily get onto. And then if you look at the budgets, you're looking at something that is just always a discount off what it would be to be the actual numbers. Back to you, Becky. Happy to take any questions.
Awesome. Thanks again so much, Jasper, for sharing your insights and your celebration of this partnership. We're definitely excited to have had the opportunity to work with you again. That's the #1 sign of a happy customer. Having you come back to us, and even saying that the team was even stronger the second time around. Very cool. So I think, yes, next let's go to the chat here. I see a question from Eric. That, Richard, I think is best directed to you. What happens when an ask from a client requires more than one partner to deliver? Do you mix and match? So I think they're asking if there would possibly be a situation of working with multiple network partners because the product itself is more complicated.
Okay. I don't know if this is the same Eric that I know. I know an Eric Kahiga. I don't know if it's the same fellow.
Yeah, that's me, Richard.
Okay. Thank you for the question, Eric. Actually, what we do is, maybe I should have mentioned a bit more about this, is Gebeya is the largest talent marketplace in Africa. That beyond just GMED, we have individual talents that are there. So what we do encourage our network partners to do is to get the specialized skill from within that talent pool. And because we basically manage the marketplace, it's very easy for us to even identify the specific talents and negotiate ways in which this can be done at a manner that's affordable to the end customer. So for example, if let's say Jasper would like to get his product on, say, AWS, and the network partner, that's ACID, would like to get some AWS expertise, like a senior engineer to help with the AWS deployment. ACID would basically just go to a network, to a marketplace, be able to identify a couple of people, discuss with them and negotiate, probably get 1 or 2, and then that would then be incorporated into the project team that then delivers this particular capability for Jasper. And Jasper would probably be none the wiser. He'd just be able to see his product on AWS. Though I encourage transparency, so you'd have an idea as to the fact that he's working with a specialist of our marketplace as well. So I hope that answers the question, Eric.
Yes, it does. Thanks, Richard.
Okay. Welcome. Further questions?
Yeah, so at this stage, you're welcome to either drop it in the chat or ask a question directly. I'm curious to know a little bit more about those of you attending, where you are in terms of considering your possibly, building an MVP. Have you already done so? Are you just trying to get initial information, and where you stand today? That's open to anyone. All right, so if there's no questions at this time, Richard, I think something that would also be really valuable for the audience is to talk about some of the points you made, earlier about what does it take to be MVP ready. We came into this conversation looking at 2 success stories, but we didn't see, what happened prior. Jasper shared about his journey, having his financial background, but recognizing that he didn't have the tech skills, so he would need the right team or partner in order to actually execute his idea. But making it a little bit more general, even if someone is not looking specifically at building a fintech product, maybe they have an idea in a completely different field. What kinds of questions do they need to ask and answer for themselves to even know if they're at that right stage? Richard. And Jasper, of course, you can chime in on this as well.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, Becky. I guess if you at the very early stages and you would like to identify whether you would like to proceed with an MVP, there are a couple of questions you need to ask yourself. I think the main question you need to ask yourself is whether you have a problem you're trying to solve, because you may have an amazing engineering team, you may have the best talents, you have the budget, you have, but if you're not solving a problem, you'll create very good software with no one to use it. And so the idea is to then identify if you have a product market fit. And that's where we come in. Actually, Jasper hinted at that, which is we have some prospective clients who actually come to us and told us, I'm thinking about doing this maybe 6 months down the line, but I'm not very sure whether I have a good product market fit. Not exactly the words they use, but they express some doubts as to whether they're solving the right problem. And we help them in thinking through it, and even trying to identify the best minimum business increment to have as part of the minimum viable product that goes to market. And as a result of that, we're able to then help them get the right solution that can then find its way into a software product and is able to get the results that we saw with the Chapeo product. The next thing you need to do is, after identifying whether you're solving the right problem, is identifying if you have the relevant stuff in place to be able to get this to get done, the relationships in place. Are you even in the right market? So case in point, if you want to receive payments of your solution, and the country in which you'd like to have the product launched doesn't have any mobile payments, or even the payments infrastructure and the payments environment is not that mature, you have certain questions about it, that's something you need to think about. So what do you do about that? Do you entice certain payment providers to get into that market as part of what you want to do? Then the third thing you do is and I'm basically just summarizing the steps. You basically get a team that will help you. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. You then are able to then come up with a product vision, identify what you want to do in terms of the vision, the long-term vision. We can help here. What are the business increments? If you can get to that level of detail, you can even think 2 or 3 business increments ahead, even though the priority of the increments may change depending on the state of the market and even feedback from your customers. Once you've gotten that in place, typically you're ready to go, and it's just a question of getting the right engineering team in place. And I think this is where we plug in really well. if not from the very start, but at this stage, you're able to then help you get the right team to work with you to get that product out the door. That's my 2 cents on what you would basically go through in terms of a stepwise model to basically getting an MVP out the door.
Great, thank you, Richard. Are there any other questions from the audience?
You could just add in something. You allow, Becky.
Please.
Yeah. So just on the same point which Richard highlighted in terms of when you've got the your thoughts together, at times you might not be able to have it arranged very well and ready to perhaps just give it to someone to be able to do a product or a technology development out of it. I remember we had this session with Richard as we were building the latest product, and I wild ideas just spread all over. So just the fact that he was able to streamline and pocket them and say, okay, let's divide this and say this is what belongs into this area, this is what belongs into this area, and this. So this and this work together in the first development, and then we can do flagging these others later. So that in itself really comes in very handy, and comes in as a very reasonable thing in terms of just even that guide and aiding into the development. So there's that bit where you don't have to really be scared of what it would look like. If you have that initial idea and you know what you'd like that to look like, and together with what the guidelines is been able to give, set up shoot a meeting to him. You can set up a session online even if you don't have time to actually do a physical meeting. Then you can move from there on. I don't think, Richard, you charged me for that, so there's that bit which you'd like to just bounce something off GMAT team, and just as you start to align that and as you move, and you can even break it depending on your budget. You can break that up and move, and you'll see how that unfolds well for you. So I just wanted to add that because I had that experience recently, and I felt like I just needed to highlight that bit where there's that help in terms of just putting together your thoughts and just what would be best to go fast instead of just going with everything on at the same time. Thanks.
Great additional insight. Thank you, Jasper. Are there any other questions from the audience? Or insights as well. We might have some folks here who have experience with building and launching MVP also. So this can also be a knowledge sharing opportunity. All right. Well, we did have 2 hours scheduled for this webinar. Maybe we all talked really fast. But I'm really grateful for everyone who attended, and thank you for the insights, multiple insights that you shared, Jasper and Richard, for further explaining 41 days to break even is phenomenal. Normally it takes years. Awesome, thank you, Eric, for that comment talking about the speed at which Jasper's team was able to break even with their product. Was there anything else that you wanted to add on that? Or just a kudos? Great. So yeah, I think that we're pretty much wrapping up here. And in terms of what's going to happen next, wanted to set the stage that This is actually the first in a series of webinars that we're planning to host over the next few months, talking about building and launching successful MVPs. We're going to hear from different perspectives in the future. Some of our, other network partners. We have a network, as Richard mentioned, of not only our talents across the continent, but network partners as well. Even Jasper said, the team's diversity in terms of their nationalities, physical location, and skill sets is also what's part of exciting, really bringing the best to the table. So we really want to give a chance to also, showcase that and have them tell their stories about some of the projects that they've worked on, their capabilities. We focus very heavily on technology and fintech solutions today, but we also have all kinds of network partners in marketing, cybersecurity, and other backgrounds. So we're going to show some diversity of their stories to kind of showcase, what's possible when you're really working creatively and in an agile way, in increments, as Richard was saying before. And also just continue this conversation, for anyone who's thinking about or has maybe, tried and struggled with launching an MVP. How could Gabea serve as a partner for you? Or even just getting you thinking a little bit differently about how to do that. So in terms of what's next, we are definitely going to share a recap of some of the points that were discussed. This video will be uploaded online in case you weren't able to attend or you want to review some of the points. We're going to send out a post-event survey, so please be on the lookout for that, because we also want to know what kinds of topics would be of interest to you in the future. And we have a special discount that we're going to be extending to as well. So we'll outline that offer in the follow-up email. But we thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Jasper, for your time, especially in your testimonials. Any closing words from you or Richard? You're welcome.
Maybe I could go first. I would like to thank everyone who's taken time. For some people, it's their lunch hour. For some people, it's actually quite early in the morning to actually join us for this conversation. And as Becky has said, the conversation goes on. We're planning on doing a series of webinars just to share our collective experience on the GMAT journey. But thanks once again to everyone who made it for this webinar.
From my end, I just want to thank everyone as well, and I thank the Gabea team obviously for creating many opportunities for the teams that do my customer facing by enabling us to be able to run a company that does technology, even though we have zero technology background, and giving us access to some of the best technology talents across the continent and outside the continent. I certainly happy to, get any questions that are specific to the business. I'm happy to support any partners or any guys who would love to work with the Gabea and they have specific business questions onto this. I'm happy to support that. So technology, Gabea, GMAT will sort you out. But then if you got some question on specific journey, having come from the bank 8 years ago, and how is it now, I'm happy to support you on that. Thanks to GMAT. So come through GMAT, I'll be able to support you. Thanks.
Thanks again, everyone. Have a great rest of your day and look out for the announcement of our next webinar.